Next Goal Wins is the newest film from writer-director Taika Waititi, and this film focuses in on a soccer coach sent over to American Samoa to somehow help their national soccer team win a game after they suffered the worst ever loss in a World Cup qualifying match at 31-0. I've been heavily anticipating this movie ever since I heard that Waititi was going to make it. I think that he is a brilliant writer. He's won an Academy Award for Jojo Rabbit. He directed Thor Ragnarok, and I know a lot of people don't like Thor Love and Thunder. It's definitely not up there for MCU movies for me, but you know, I enjoyed it more than the average person, I think. Some of the jokes just landed for me and not a lot of other people. So expectations here were really high with Next Goal Wins. He has Michael Fassbender here in the starring role, and I really respect him as an actor, and he's been looking for a project since, I guess, Steve Jobs to latch himself onto that's actually well received. And unfortunately, this film is not very good. I was heavily disappointed after seeing it. It's definitely not the worst movie that I've seen this year. It's not a total dumpster fire, but it just isn't great, y'all. I want to get into some positives first before I go lean into the negatives. I thought that the person who played Jaya Salua, I may be butchering that name, but I thought she was probably the best part of this movie. She had most of the emotional beats. It's a very interesting story, her character, and I thought that they used her pretty effectively. The script wasn't great with her sometimes, but the character was interesting enough and made for most of the emotional parts of this movie. And I really loved how this movie was shot aside from the soccer scenes, but we'll get into that in a second with the negatives. This film was shot in Honolulu, so not actually American Samoa, but I'm a sucker for Hawaii landscapes. Who isn't? I think that the landscape just looks beautiful here, and I really like that they filmed it, you know, not in a studio somewhere. And then Michael Fassbender, while his character makes certain decisions that I don't think make sense, I think he's a good performer and he has great screen presence, and it was nice seeing him on the big screen. I feel like it's been forever since the last time I saw him. And with that being said, that's about all the positives that I have to say about this movie, because at the end of the day, this movie just feels dull, which is really weird considering that Waititi, you know, made this. Like, he is the writer and director. This is his vehicle, and he has such a loud, great voice in Hollywood and with most of the projects that he's on. So it's really weird to say that for a lot of this movie, I just wasn't really into the plot, and a lot of the crazy characters I thought were totally out of place. Let's not forget, this is based on a true story, and it's okay to have comedic characters in there, but I thought some of the antics were a bit too outlandish for me personally, and didn't really make sense with the story here, you know, because we're focusing in on a soccer coach that has anger issues and by the looks of it, to me in the movie, an alcohol problem probably, and he's coming in to coach this team, and I thought, wow, this, you know, it's gonna have its comedic beats, but Taika Waititi's gonna have his own spin on it, but it's gonna be like a sports film, you know? But that's just not what we got here. Maybe that's just on me for having improper expectations going into it. And don't get me wrong, this movie can be really funny at parts. I think that there are plenty of laughs in this movie. There were several times where the audience that I was watching this with were laughing, and maybe the joke just didn't land with me as much, but this movie, I don't know what it was. It just didn't land for me, a lot of the jokes here. I felt like a lot of the jokes were a bit too out there for the film setup. You know, the dramatic moments and the comedic moments just didn't blend in very well. It felt like, you know, two totally different movies in certain parts. The script also needed more work, in my opinion, because, I mean, the main character, Michael Fassbender's character, he goes through a lot of different cycles in this movie where, you know, he's ticked off that he has to be there, he gets bought into the program, but then he just kind of goes back and forth. And then at the very end, whenever, you know, like any sports movie, they have their big match, he leaves at well, I don't want to get into spoilers, but he gets ticked off, and I felt like the conversation being had was not it was not fitting for the placement at this point in the movie. I feel like we've already covered this for his character and had developed him up to this point, so it was really, really weird. The tone was just so out of whack, and the script felt like it just didn't know what to do with its main character in parts. And then the soccer scenes too, aside from maybe the very, very end, when not even the last match, but part of the last match, the end of the match, I thought the soccer scenes looked terrible. It looked like shaky cam to me, which, when done right, can be good. But for me, it's kind of telling that maybe you don't know how to shoot, like, a sports sequence or something. Like, it's really, really weird, because Taika Waititi is a fantastic filmmaker. So I don't know what happened here. But I mean, that's just my opinion. I thought they made it a little bit harder to follow for the soccer scenes. We didn't get a lot of soccer up until the very end of the movie, which I think is weird for a soccer movie. But yeah, really, really disappointing movie from Taika. It's kind of shocking to me that he directed this movie, because it seems not nearly as good as any of his other movies. I truly hope that his next movie is a great one, because now he has his first, like, bad movie, in my opinion. And Thor: Love and Thunder, I know a lot of people hate. I don't hate it, but to the general public right now, he's 0-2 the last couple years. And in a world where Hollywood is about what have you done for me lately, that's not good for him. Hopefully his next project is more in line with what we've seen from him from the past. I know he can make an excellent movie, just Next Goal Wins was not it for me. That's everything that I have to say about Next Goal Wins. Did you guys go see this movie? Did you like it more than I did? Please let me know down in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this and you want more. Bye, y'all.